So, Callum, lovely to speak to you. And just to give sort of context, 'cause I'm not quite sure when this interview is going to come out, but this week the FA Cup draw was made and York City got Biggleswade somewhere I had to Google straight away. And I was kind of looking, you've got a lot of memories and kind of history of the magic of the FA Cup. I was looking,
Yeah,
you scored at Hillsborough away in an FA Cup fifth round game for Charlton against Sheffield Wednesday. And you went on and played against Man United with Reading as well. So I just
yeah,
wonder if you could tell us about your FA Cup kind of memories.
yeah. When I was at Charlton, I can't remember exactly how old I was. I know I was a bit young. I think my manager was Chris Power at the time, and yeah, it was an important game. I was obviously happy to be playing. Sheffield Wednesday away was quite a tough place to go, but we did well. Managed to score as well. I think we started the game pretty well. Like we was hungry for it, so yeah, it was a good result. Good celebrations after everyone was happy, and it just made the journey worthwhile. We went there and we kind of knew that we had to really get this result. And we had some good players on our team as well. A few young players like myself. I think Jordan was there, Jordan Cousins, Diogo Poyet, and then we had a good squad. We had strikers like Simon Church. I think he scored that game as well. I think so. Yeah, it was a good result, but obviously I don't think it tops playing at Old Trafford. Man United's obviously Manchester United. It's always a big thing and a pleasure to play against them. And obviously to sort of walk out at Old Trafford's always a blessing, really. I think we lost that one with Reading. They had quite a strong team. I think they had like Lukaku at the time, Luke Shaw, Ryan Matter, you name it. There's some good players, but it was a good result. I think I played well that game as well. I think I had the better of my fullback at the time, who was that? Ashley Young. Yeah, I think it was a good game, and I think we even played them again when I was at Colchester in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I think that was a League Cup. I was going to come on to that
Yeah,
later in the interview. Yeah, but did you
but
manage to swap any shirts then after the game?
no, to be fair, I spoke to a few of the boys after, and they basically just gave me applause really and said like, well done, like you played unreal and stuff like that, and I just said like appreciate it. All the best for the season, really. Those games you kind of want to just like leave your mark on a team when you play like Premiership teams. Same with I think we played Arsenal in the FA Cup once at Reading as well. But you just kind of want to leave your mark as a team and as an individual as well. You're playing against players that are at the top level where any player wants to aspire to get to. So you got to kind of give you everything in that game, if you see what I mean. Regardless of the result, if you've given everything, that's all that matters. So yeah, it was a good experience, one I tell my son about. But yeah, it was good. It was good enjoyment.
And what's it like the step up playing at a place like Old Trafford, where it's obviously a lot bigger crowd than I mean, Charlton obviously get big crowds, but Manchester United, you're talking sort of 70,000, aren't you? And
Yeah.
stepping out at Old Trafford, the theatre of dreams as it's known, like, that must be some experience. Do you get nervous in games like that?
To be honest, I never ever get nervous. I kind of live for pressure. Like, I feel like it's the only thing that makes you show what you are. So I was just super excited. I was thinking, I can't wait to absolutely run this defender ragged and show what we're made of. But, it's good. I mean, the only difference is obviously the amount of support they have. So when you're playing, like when you're sort of on the field, you really can't hear much. You're just locked in and you're like running on adrenaline. So it's just like one mistake, you could hear a big amount of booze. Can you keep going? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no, it was good. I liked it. I thrived off it really.
Yeah, and we'll obviously come on to York City in due course and the
Yeah,
sort of journey that brought you to LNER. But I wanted to head back to when you made your debut for Charlton. So I think you were just 17 years old, and what a fantastic achievement to play at championship level, a really high level at such a young age. You mentioned there about thriving on pressure, but did you sort of take that in your stride when you were that age, or did it sort of dawn on you that suddenly you've gone from kind of youth team football to playing at
yeah.
the Valley and the pressure of playing for 3 points on a Saturday in front of crowds like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was sort of young, around the age of say around 15, I kind of started playing up a few like age groups, which for me was a massive improvement at that age because I was really small. But I knew that I was doing something right for the coaches to sort of put me up. And then it got to a point where I think, when you're sort of around under 16s, Charlton was, a club where I feel like if you're doing really well, we may let you train with the first team or we may just see, what this person can do. So once you get that sort of chance, you really got to take it because if you don't, you just go back and then it's like, well, we gave him a try sort of thing. So, yeah, I think I sort of capitalized on that. We had a think it was my manager at the time. Was it? It weren't Phil Parkinson, was it? Might have been Powley. But when I got sort of called up and I was on the bench, that was a massive thing just to be on the bench at the time because you're in a championship, you're young, and my family were really happy and proud, and I was thinking, oh my God, I just need to get on the pitch. So yeah, I was just sitting on the bench that whole time, and then Gaffer turned around to me, he was like, "Cal, you're coming on." So I was like, "Oh my God, showtime, let's go!" And then I came on, and I think I'd done it right. The fans were amazing at Charlton. It's always sort of been home for me. I was there since probably the age of 9 anyway. And yeah, and then after that, I kind of just sort of got my head down and knuckled down to try and play more games, really.
And you mentioned there about being there from the age of 9, and I would imagine a lot of that time growing up, then they would have been in the Premier League as well.
Yeah.
You'd have seen them play, some of the best players in the world.
Yeah, so really, to be honest with you, when I was actually 9 years old, before I went to Charlton, I was actually at West Ham. But my dad had to change his jobs because we're from Southwest London, and that's West Ham, I think, was like Essex or somewhere deep down that way. So we kind of just thought this is a bit far. And then when we had a meeting with West Ham, they actually said, well, we think Cal's a bit... For what they actually said to me, we think Cal's a bit too short. So my dad was like, okay, no problem. So, it worked out. He went back to his job, and then I ended up getting picked up by Charlton, which was in South London. And then, yeah, it was just a blessing ever since, really.
Yeah. I'm not surprised you were saying that who was my manager, because I was looking at your Charlton managers. There was so many of them I couldn't keep count.
Mental.
As well, at a young age, your international career, England and the 19s, you had 3 caps for. And I was looking at one of the games in particular, because Georgia managed to qualify for the Euros, didn't they? And you played a game against Georgia and it finished 1-1, but Jordan Pickford was sent off after 7 minutes. I think that was a game that you played in. So that must have been a bit of a killer, really, because if you'd have won that game,
yeah,
gone on and played in the major tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a story how I actually got called up for England. We played Barnsley and we think we won like 6-0. I scored 6-0 or 6-1, I believe. And then a couple of days later, it was about, I'd like to say 9, 10 o'clock at night, and my door knocked. I've looked through the keyhole and I couldn't see who it was. And I was thinking, who's at the door? So I've opened the door. It's my gaffer. It's Chris Powell. He's at my door. But I know he had like sort of like family that lived in the same area where I grew up. So I said, you're right, gaffer. I was thinking like, why is he here? And he was going, you're going to let me in? So I was like, yeah, like, come in. So he's come in, and my mum and dad like looked at me like, Cal, what have you done now? So I was thinking, I ain't got a clue. And he sat down, he was like, right, do you lot want the good news or the bad news? So my dad was like, what's the bad news? I was thinking, oh my God, I'm in so much trouble here. And he's gone, the bad news is we've tried to just push Cal to go straight into England 21s, but they want to see him in the 19s first. So I was like super happy. I was like, oh my God, am I going to England? And he was like, yeah, you're going for the Euros and under 19s. So then I went out to England, and after my second training session, believe it or not, I actually didn't train with the under 19s. I actually trained with the 21s. I think the manager was Stuart Pearce at the time. And Pearce, he said to me, look, you're going to be with the 21s from now on. I've watched you in training, and I think you're ready to play 21s football for England. So I was like really happy. Like they had like Jordan Henderson, I think Sterling there at the time. Like some good players that I was training with. And I was thinking, this is wicked. And then as I went along with the Euros, they sacked Stuart Pearce. So that went out the window. But that is football. You never know. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. That was a great achievement. I know it weren't sort of a long continued achievement for me, but to say I represented my country was great, really.
Yeah, amazing. And the 2013-14 season looks like it was really the season where you established yourself at Charlton. I mentioned that Sheffield Wednesday Cup game earlier, but you also had a brilliant end to that season. You scored 2 against Watford in the last home game of the season, which I think secured Charlton staying in the division, and then a hat-trick at Blackpool in the last game. I suppose you would have wanted that season to end, and that must have been almost the best you've ever felt in your career, or?
It was for many reasons. I think at the time, the manager that came in, I think it was Jose Riga. Before those games, he didn't play me, I think, and I called him in for a meeting, and I just said to him, look, like what have I got to do to play? I knew the situation that the club was in, and I felt I had something to offer in these like final stages of the season, because I just thought, I've been at this club my whole life. I want to fight. And yeah, he just said, look, just keep training how you're training. It basically didn't really get much out of him in the meeting, but I just said, all right, no problem. Just got my head down and worked. And then it came to game day, and he gave the squad when we was all there, and the players that were starting. So I was starting. So I was thinking, all right, I better back up my talk now. So yeah, I managed to score 2 against Watford, and then the hat-trick was against Blackpool. And yeah, that was was amazing for me. I felt like I proved something to myself just by believing. Really, we had a great team, a great like bunch of boys as well, and yeah, we survived, which was the main thing. So that was good.
And you had some quite sort of, I'd say, characters of the game at Charlton while you were there. I was looking at Ricardo Fuller. I think he's a bit of a maverick from sort of
Yeah.
other podcasts I've listened to. And Emmanuel Frimpong, I think, was on loan from Arsenal for a bit as well. So what was it like playing with those sort of players?
You know what? Obviously, I think all those players, they've had good experiences and played at high levels and stuff like that. But I'm going to be honest with you, most of them are just talkers. I sit down and I train with these players and I hear like some of the stuff and I just think, just get on with what you're doing. But listen, they've made it to certain levels, so you know I give applause for that. But there's some big names that sort of came down and thought maybe they're too big to be here. I don't like that, to be honest with you.
And you moved on to Reading in 2016 and you got a fantastic goal against Norwich on Boxing Day. And then I think the Man United game was sort of shortly after that. But then not so long after that, you suffered a real serious hamstring injury that kept you out of the game for the best part of 18 months. I mean, that must have been really tough to take because you'll have still been relatively young at this point as well to have a whole season out, particularly when you were in some good form coming into that.
I was really disappointed. I think at Reading, I think that was probably one of... Oh, well, I really love Charlton because I grew up there, but Reading just felt like the move for me. And, you know, my family was happy, I was happy, and that club just felt like home back then to me personally. We had a great manager. Like when he called me to sort of have a meeting and they wanted to sign, I was like, of course I'm going to sign for Jaap Stam. He's an absolute legend. And training was really good and it just fitted everything I'd like to do as a player. Everything was sort of like tick-a-tack of football, work hard, rat around, and it was just everything I liked. And then got playing and then, I had an injury, which honestly, I had no clue how it happened, but it happened. I think I had a shot. Who was I playing against? Ryan Fredericks. He's absolutely rapid. So I just thought, when I've got past him, I thought, let me take this shot before he steps back. And yeah, I had the shot and I just felt like a pop. And I was like, what the heck? Like, what was that? And I couldn't sort of put no weight on my leg at the time to even stand and try and walk and see what it was. So I knew straight away I popped something. And yeah, it was a lengthy hamstring. I had to operate it. And it was an absolute ball ache. But these are the sort of things you come through in football. Listen, the weak-minded, I believe, they just give up. I know so many talented footballers that I've played with since a kid that I thought were unbelievable. They've had injuries and they can't come back from them. It's not physically, it's mentally. It's draining. You do the same like rehab, the same programs, and sometimes you feel like you're hitting a brick wall, so then you stop. Some people through the brick wall and see if there's anything else, and then push through another brick wall. It's tough. It is tough. Mentally, it's really tough. But I just told myself, like, this can't be the end. There's no way. I can't end like this. So I just had to work, even though I had a leg that looked like an absolute twig at the time. I just said, I've got to build this back up now. I've got to get fit again. You got to do this again. And it's tough.
Was it mentally tougher? Because I was looking at the end of that season and Reading were, I think, a penalty shootout away from getting into the Premier League. And you might have thought, well, if I was playing in that game, I might have taken one of the penalties or, you know, I might have been able to affect that game.
Yeah, do you know what? When we actually had the game, I was so depressed because obviously I had to attend the game. So I was there and I was in the stands, me and my missus. And deep down inside, I didn't even want to turn up to the game because I was so angry that I weren't even playing. And then we got all the way to a penalty shootout. And I was thinking, please just win this penalty shootout. Let's go back to the Premiership. Everyone's life changes. Everything changed. And then we ended up losing the penalty shootout. And it was just so sad. Like, I was seeing a few of the boys after the game and stuff, people crying, and it was just upsetting. So like the owner after the game, he was upset. Like we had like a massive hug for about a minute. It was tough to take, especially not being involved, because I'm sitting in there thinking it's a 0-0 game. Like all it takes is one magic moment in that game, just one. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, and the following season, I think Reading went the other way, didn't they? They kind of had a really poor start. I think they won about one in the first 20 games when Jaap Stam was out. And it's funny how football can just turn around so quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, it was sad to see. I think, obviously, we hit heights with Jaap Stam in the year that he was here, and then they sort of let him go in that season. And I just thought for me, I just didn't think that was the right decision. But again, it's football and it's just, that's a decision from people above. So it was sad. I think as a team, we kind of let him down. I don't think it was anything to do with the staff or the training, because it was always good. It was, the club was ran properly, and we just didn't perform enough as a team. Maybe we thought because we made it to play a final, we thought we was probably bigger than we were at the time. I'm not sure, but it was disappointing. It was disappointing to see him go. But a new manager came in. I think it was Paul Clement at the time. I didn't really get on with him, to be honest with you. I don't think many players did. And then he left, and then we actually got a manager in that was Portuguese. His name was Jose something again, but he was really good. He was a really good, really good manager. I liked him a lot. I think he actually coaches now in Egypt. He manages in Egypt, I believe. But yeah, it was sad.
And you moved on to Colchester, where you'd previously had a really good loan spell, and clearly you were a fan's favourite down there. And I think you scored what must be the best goal of your career against Macclesfield. I found a clip of that. It was an incredible strike. And yeah, what's your memories of kind of your time there? And
I think Colchester, I really enjoyed it. John McGrill, Steve Ball at the time was our managers. Then we had Hayden. We had good managers. We had a good team, talented team, and everybody had a bit of flair. We was really good. I think teams used to hate playing us, to be honest with you. And yeah, I think I had a good time there. When I left there, I was actually meant to go to QPR at the time, but then I had a case that all was going on and stuff. So I was just like, this is an absolute nightmare. They told me I had to go to court for it at the time, and I was like, for what? I haven't done anything. Then I went all that way, spent all that money just for someone to say I can't remember. Yeah, but apart from that, I enjoyed my time, and I played some really good football. The owner's really a nice guy. Really got on with him. So yeah, I wish him the best.
And the Macclesfield goal, do you remember that long range strike?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Funny enough, the goalkeeper, I actually know him. His name's Cookie, Reece Cook. He used to be at Arsenal as a goalkeeper when he was young. But I said to him before the game, I said, I'm gonna score today. And he was like, all right, Cal. I was like, all right then. And then as the game went, I sort of just caught him off. Like when I was dribbling in, I kind of looked and thought, he's not really there. So if you do hit this with a little bit of power, he might tip it over, or this is actually going in. So I just thought, give it a chance. Just had a crack at it, and it flew in. I was like, oh my God, what a goal that was. And I was really happy. That was a good goal. I think after that, it kind of just made me think, Cal, like, shoot from a bit further out. Then I've done it again against Crawley and one winning. And I was like, yes. But yeah, that was good. Good time.
Yeah, I think you were top scorer for Colchester in one of the seasons you were there as well. And you mentioned there about off-field issues and a short-term contract with Gillingham, and then a similar one with Yeovil before signing for York at the start of last season. Yeah. How big an influence was the owner, Matt Ugler, sort of, given that you'd had a little bit of a spell with him at Yeovil before? Was he influential in bringing you to York?
Yeah, he was, to be honest. He kind of wanted me in, and he had a lot of good things to say as well. And obviously I was eager to get playing after I left Gillingham. I was sort of like, just really wanted to play. And for me at the time, I kind of, to be honest, I didn't really want to go that low into the league sort of where I've been. But I kind of realised, look, like what do you enjoy? Is it playing football, or do you want to wait and sort of hope for, a bigger club to come in? I just want to play. So when when Matt contacted me and wanted me to come in and stuff, I was happy. I wanted to sort of join them on the journey. And yeah, I think I went the Oval, played a few games. I think it was towards the end of the season I managed to score one. Then I had a niggle at the time. And then I'm not sure what sort of fell through with the club and between Matt and the club at the time. But yeah, I kind of left there. When he contacted me about York, I was thinking, York, like I've heard about York, but remember, I'm a South Londoner. So it's very, very far for me. You never sort of pay much attention to how far something is, or where the club's actually at, etc. So I was thinking, York, like I know this club, and then when I'd done my research, I was like, oh my God, York, like, it's actually a big club. So I was like, really interested, and I spoke with my agents at the time, and they was like, yes, it's like really good, Cal, and it's a lovely place also to live. So I was just all for it. It just sort of ticked all boxes, and it was a chance for me to to get playing again. And so I was happy they put their trust in me, even though I had a horrid season of injuries, which was very unfortunate. I'm just hoping this season we have I can sort of, repay, all the hard work and passion that I want to sort of show the fans and the club, and sort of, get that help to try and get this club to where it needs to be, which is in the league. We've got amazing fans. Like every home game is unreal. So for me, I'm just happy. I'm happy to be playing. It's a lovely place. It's tough, as in, my family's not here, so it's just me. And obviously I got 2 kids, so it's tough sometimes not seeing them so much. And so trying to sort of balance that out and go down when I can and spend some time with him also. But yeah, I'm enjoying playing.
How are you finding the North? Because like you mentioned there, you're a London boy, and I'm sure if you were at Yeovil when you found out York were interested, if you did put that on Google Maps from Yeovil to York, you'd be like, well, what the hell? I mean, I think you're based in Knaresborough, aren't you? And I think I
Yeah,
heard you say sometime that you've sort of likened it to Harry Potter land.
it is. Honestly, when I first came up here, I was sort of in the city centre first until I obviously sorted out where I'm going to stay and stuff like that. And it was lovely. It's really, really nice. But I just thought, why does everything look like it's still in 18,000? Honestly, it just looks so different to London. As in, like, London is it's busy as well, but it's very like high street, if you know what I mean. And York was just like the opposite. So it was a big difference to me. And then obviously when I moved to Knaresborough, I was just like, well, I'm in Hogwarts. This is actually Hogwarts. So it is lovely though. I actually enjoy my time here. Like when it's like sunny, there's like a kayaking place by the river. So I used to go there and I just enjoy it. I don't really like going for walks and stuff, but around there I actually do, which is telling me it's good.
And you mentioned there about injuries and obviously it's not for the first time in your career, but sometimes players keep a low profile when they're injured, don't they? Particularly if it's longer term interviews. But I always felt like last season you were very vocal and very supportive of the team, even when we were struggling. You know, is that kind of something that you'd learned from the first time around when you were injured with Reading? Is that something that's kind of building your character?
Yeah, I just thought like even when I was young and I sort of had injuries, you don't just want to like sit at home and mope about like, oh, I'm injured and the team's winning and I'm not playing. And I think, I don't know, maybe people are different, but I'd like to still sort of be involved and encourage the boys when things ain't going well, because I've had the experience of playing at certain levels and I've seen how older pros would try and sort of help the younger generation or speak to players that they can't figure out what's going wrong. And I just always felt like that was something I give. I've always helped players. When I was young, I used to help players, even at Charlton. Some of them are playing in the Prem now. But yeah, I've just always wanted to, still support the boys. I think it's important. So I just guess I got a big heart.
Yeah. And what was the injury? I was trying to look back as to what, because I sort of remember in my head, like you went from sort of being doubtful for a game to then being a few weeks away, to then almost sort of being forgotten about, really. And then you sort of appear. I think it was Rochdale away last season. You were suddenly back in the starting lineup, and you had a pretty good first hour of a game, and you went really close with a long range shot. And then about 3 minutes later, you got substituted, and then again, it was a similar sort of situation. It was like, oh yeah, he's a doubt for next week. And then it seemed to sort of go like that. And then all of a sudden the season had gone and I think you'd only played 7 times. So what was it that was holding you back?
It was my hamstring at the time. And the physio we had at the club at the time weren't my cup of tea at all. It could have been sorted out within the first 3 weeks. Ended up rushing me to get back outside to train way too soon, which aggravated it. I don't really have much of one-on-one time with that physio. I just had like a written program, go and do that at the gym sort of thing, which didn't sort of help at all. I ended up sort of going to London a lot to see other physios. And yeah, it was just disappointing because every time I was sort of back, I just felt like we weren't really doing too well. And I was kind of getting sort of like rushed back in and I knew it weren't ready. Physio knew it weren't ready. But somehow he wouldn't communicate with the manager. So and when a manager comes up to you and says, are you ready to play? You don't just say no, you want to play. So I said, yeah, it's a bit sore still, but maybe I can do a certain amount of minutes, see how it is in training and stuff like that. So I was really disappointed. And it got to a stage where I just said, look, I just need to sort this out and nip it in the bud. So however long this is going to take, it's going to take. And, it's disappointing, especially when you sign somewhere in the first year, you kind of just want to get going and do the best you can. I was really disappointed with it. So now this year, I'm just trying to, we've got good physio in, manager's good, assistants are good. Everything's just going in the right direction. And, we can liaise and touch base on, certain situations or if something's not feeling, maybe we should do this instead today. It's just a lot better. So yeah, I'm just hoping this year we can, sort of try and stay injury-free, manage it well and yeah, move up.
Is it hard to sort of, when you've had, like you mentioned there about your hamstring as well last season, and obviously you said about the Reading one was hamstring. Is it hard sometimes to trust your body, or do you worry about it breaking down when you've been out so long? So you're almost sort of second guessing yourself, or are you of that mindset that as long as you've done the program in your head properly, that you can
What?
play with freedom?
Once you have an injury, you're always like in the back of your head wary when you're not playing. You're thinking, oh, why is it a bit like this, or why is it feel a bit like that? But I'm just so fully focused on keep sticking to doing your work on it. Don't just leave it off. Like, even if it's feeling good, stay on top of it. Just be a step ahead. And when you're in the game, you don't really think about those things. I mean, injuries happen in football, especially if you're, like a short and quick player, or not even just short. If you're like a winger who's sharp and explosive, you're always going to have a muscle injury because your explosiveness is what makes things tear, what makes things pull. So I've experienced these injuries throughout my whole career. So these are just injuries that players have. I mean, if you look back and think of players that have had hamstring injuries, probably even in the team, you think, okay, he's a winger, he's an attacker, or he's a fullback. These things happen. You just got, sometimes they're not so bad. Sometimes they could be bad. It's just life, and it's just the job we do.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a great amount of sort of mental strength with it all. And one of the things I was going to ask you is, I remember last season, because you'd not played many games. I mean, I think you had a great start. You got that goal against Altrincham quite early on, but then when you weren't playing and you were back in the team, and you were putting tweets out to say, good luck to the boys and all that. I'd noticed in the comments there would be a odd couple of people who would say, "Oh, he's always injured," or have a little bit of a snipe back. How are you mentally with those sort of things?
I don't really pay them no mind, to be honest. I don't really entertain any sort of negativity. I don't know people personally, so I wouldn't even think about it, really. I know what my aim is. I know what I want to push on and do. So if things ain't working out and people think, oh, this has happened or this, that's their opinion. I can't change that. So yeah, I just kind of just focus on the positive things. If I can be there for the team, if I'm not playing, I'm there. When I am playing, I'm still supportive of everyone. So that's just me.
And let's talk about this season where the team are absolutely flying, and you sort of personally touch wood. It seems to be getting back to your best form and fitness wise. And the goal you got against Fylde, the first time finish was fantastic. And I think even more impressive, I felt a couple of things before that goal happened. You were trying really hard to make things happen, and it wasn't quite, coming off. But then to still have that confidence that when it came through to take that shot on so early, you must be a really confident player, just kind of generally with your mindset.
Yeah, I just thought, obviously, I think before that against Wealdstone, and there was a chance that I went to slot it and it came off my big toe, and I was raging. I was thinking, no, next time I'm in a position where I can slot, I need to actually put this one in. And I just try to come on and sort of be positive as a sub when you come on towards the end of the game, regardless of the result. I just feel like your job is to just be an absolute impact and a hazard. So I just thought, look, I'm just gonna try and get on the ball as much as I can. Try and take people on, try and deliver, try and get shots off. So that was just my aim. And then I think we obviously sort of work out from passing, out from the back, etc. So once we sort of started the move, I think it got set to Len. I just knew I needed to make a forward run. So I kind of just got on my bike straight away. And I've just seen Len, he's seen me. He's played me and I just thought, I'm slotting this home. So yeah, I just took it a bit early. Reason being is because I didn't want to sort of get closer and then have somebody where he could just affect the shot. A little nudge could affect you when you're running at that speed. So I just thought, I need to take this now. So I just sort of tried to slow it, and luckily it went in.
You've obviously scored a lot of goals in your career, a lot of fantastic goals, which you talked about earlier. But what was that feeling like scoring in front of the South Stangs? You mentioned about our fans earlier on, and the fact that you had been out injured for so long and you've not scored at that end. I think your goal against Altrincham was at the other end.
Yeah.
That must be a great feeling when that does hit the net and you see the crowd behind the goal.
It's a feeling that I've missed for a while. So yeah, to score obviously in the South Stand was obviously great. Like the noise that came when that went in. I know we was already winning, but for me, it's been a long time coming. So it meant a lot to me. It kind of just meant like all the sort of like hard work I've put in. It's not easy. All the fitness you got to do to get back there, all the gym work, the programs, coming in on different days, coming in early, finishing last. It's tough. So that goal meant a lot for me. Just that's what you kind of worked hard to get back to do.
Yeah, and obviously a lot was made of the problems with recruitment last season and the need to kind of move players on. And did you ever worry that you weren't going to be given the chance to kind of prove your worth?
No, not really. The reason being is because I can't ever judge what my future's going to be if it's not in my hands. I just always knew, like, if they said, look, Kai, you're injured, we're gonna let you go, then that's what it would have been. If it's not that, my only aim is to just work hard and get back. I didn't have any thoughts about anything else. Obviously, when you see players leaving the club, and yeah, of course it's sad, but this is life. Nothing's smooth. So when there's ups and there's downs, you just take them as they come. I would have been disappointed because I didn't have a chance to maybe show myself, if you know what I mean. But yeah, luckily there was a bit of faith and hope. So my aim is just to repay it this year.
And you mentioned earlier you played for a lot of managers, particularly when you were at Charlton. In fact, Jose Riggi, you mentioned, I think he managed you twice, didn't he? He ended up coming back to Charlton. You're obviously playing under Adam Hinchelwood now. How much do you enjoy playing for Adam? And I've spoke to a couple of other players before, and they said he's very meticulous, and particularly at this level of football, haven't seen kind of people have that level of detail and tactically and things like that. And you talked earlier about attacking play, and that sort of suits your style. So I imagine you must enjoy playing for him.
Honestly, he's a dream come true. For an attacker anyway, because I've always been a player who likes to play football. There's a difference with like managers who just want to go long and want to flick on and running behind style of play. But yeah, I like the Gaffers. I like Adam's sort of, style of play. I like his encouragement. He's enthusiastic in training. He wants everyone to give 110% daily. And when he thinks, well, maybe falling off a little bit, he pushes everyone back on. Same with the assistants guys as well. Cam, they're really, really, really good. I enjoy training. I don't have anything negative to say about him. I really like him. I like the football we're playing, the belief he puts in all the boys as well. Yeah, I just hope things keep going in the right direction, and the boys, we just keep working hard to get those results.
And it feels from the outside like morale is so positive around, the fan base with the team, but also within the team itself. It looks like you guys all kind of gelled together on and off the pitch, really.
Yeah, we got a great group of boys. I think everybody gels, and like even in training, like everybody speaks, and there's a lot of squad rotation also within our team. We've got great players. We've got good players. We've got talented players, young players, older players, and everybody just wants the same achievement, which is to push on and let's try and get up in the league. So all the boys get on, and it's good to see. It's good to be around. It's a good environment. So yeah, things are really good.
And how do you feel about squad rotation? Is that something that's quite good for you in terms of managing your injuries and getting the best out of your body and kind of being fresh?
No, I want to play every game. But it's good. I mean, everybody who's working hard and is training well, and people deserve a chance. And we've got a manager who believes in the whole squad. So people get their chance. You just got to give it your all and try and do the best you can. And I think it's good. Obviously, players want to play as much as they can, but it's also good because there's so much talent that can still affect a game. Like I think, who did I speak to the other day? Oh, I can't remember. But I was just after the game, and he was like, when like our subs come on, it's an absolute problem. You kind of look at it and think, well, that's a positive thing to hear, because we have got great players that can come on and change a game. So that's always a plus.
Yeah, I mean, the Fylde game in particular, there was a triple substitution when it was you, Lenny, and Deepo coming on at once. I mean, it felt a bit criminal, really, to do it when Fylde were already getting beat. But, I mean, it shows the strength in depth, doesn't it? And you've obviously played for teams that have been up there in the playoffs before. So how does it compare, like, this squad of players to kind of other promotion challenges that you've been part of?
Do you know what? I think when you get to a certain stage of the season, you kind of look and you see where you are as a team. And as a player, you kind of know, well, hang on a minute, we can easily get to top 3 here, or we can get to top 6 here, or we can win the league. And with a team that we have here, and with everyone aiming for the same thing, I really do hope this is our year. I'd be disappointed if it wasn't, because we've got more than enough to do well.
And do you feel like with your career as a whole, you mentioned before about, some off-field issues with court cases and kind of short-term. Do you feel like you've got some lost time to make up for almost like, and you could, because I was looking, you're only 30, you packed a lot into your career, you've played for England, Charlton, Reading, and Guyana as well at international level. You packed a lot. If you were to retire tomorrow, you've had a great career in the game, haven't you? But do you feel like you have got kind of time to make up for, and you can kind of play it almost a bit longer?
Oh yeah, I feel like until these legs don't work no more, I can't stop. I love the game. I've always have since a kid. I just live and breathe football. I just want to play. So yeah, I feel like I've got much more to offer. I feel like I've got things that I need to sort of make up for, which is missing out on scoring goals, to be honest with you, especially when I was in form at that time at Colchester. So, and then after that, when you stop playing for so long, no matter if you go gym and run on a treadmill for half an hour, it's not the same as training. There's a big difference. So I just told myself, look, I've done this my whole life. I had a bump on the road, which should have been fixed maybe sooner than later, but it's life. And I've still got so much more to give. So yeah, I'm just going to keep pushing.
And final question, something I always ask people if they've, had quite a long career in the game. Who would you say is the best player you've ever played with and against?
Oh, best player I've played with, Bradley Wright Phillips. He is a fox in a box. Some of the goals like Brad scored was just like, was playing at Power League on a Friday night. Like the goals he scores were just like so, how can I say this? They're just like South Londonish. Like it wouldn't even be like a professional type of finish. Like he would just score the most random goal in a box and you just think, how's he done that? But he does it so consistently. He was just to me, just a great pro. I got on with him really well. And I used to just always think like his attitude to like winning, like when I was young, I used to look at him and just think, I got that attitude too. Obviously he was an older pro and he was always, sort of looking out for me and stuff like that. So he was, for me, one of the best players I played with. He scored some phenomenal goals and training, he was always good as well. So, yeah, I'd say Brad.
He got over 100 goals, I think, in America as well, didn't he, later on in his career? And I think he's really well regarded by New York Red Bulls, who he played for.
Yeah, he's really good. Best player I played against? Oh, gosh. We had this wasn't a league game. This was a reserve game. We played against Tottenham. And I think his name at the time was Dos Santos.
Giovanni Dos Santos, yeah.
Oh my gosh, he was ridiculous. I don't know if he was the best player I played against though. I think I'd either give it to Rashford, probably Mata. He just found so many pockets in the game. It was just annoying me. You think you've got him, and then he's in a pocket and he's facing your whole defence. And by the time he makes his pass, you're not going to get there. So I'd like to say him or Rashford, really. We'll give it to Rashford because he scored. He scored both times, and he was Rashford at that time, innit? He was in his prime. He was doing well, scoring goals. So yeah, I'd say Rashford.
Callum, it's been great to speak to you. Like I think your positive mindset is amazing to listen to, and I really hope the rest of the season you're able to stay injury free and at your best. And you obviously give a lot to the team and to the supporters as well. And hopefully this is a great season for York City.
I appreciate that. Thank you.